So, when you think of Starlink, you probably picture thousands of individual satellites zipping around the Earth, right? Well, that's not quite the full picture. It's not just a random collection of hardware. It's an intelligent, coordinated swarm. Today, we're going to break down how this massive cluster actually works together to blanket the entire globe in high-speed internet.
Okay, so to really get it, let's start by looking back a bit. For decades, satellite internet had this awful reputation for being painfully slow, super laggy. I mean, trying to do a video call or play a game was basically impossible. But why? What was the problem?
Well, the answer, in a single word, is distance. You see, the traditional satellites, they're in what's called geostationary orbit, or GEO, and they are incredibly far away, almost 36,000 kilometers up. That huge distance creates a ton of latency. That's the technical term for lag. We're talking 600 milliseconds or more for your signal to just go up and come back down. Now compare that to low Earth orbit, LEO, where Starlink lives. Those satellites are only about 550 kilometers up, which just slashes that latency down to around 25 milliseconds. It is a completely different world.
So Starlink's first truly brilliant move was just tackling that distance problem head-on. By building this enormous constellation of satellites in low Earth orbit, they literally brought the internet way, way closer to home.
But you know how it goes. You solve one massive problem, and you created a brand new one. See, a satellite in LEO is only really useful if it can see a ground station to connect to the internet. So what happens when a satellite is flying over the middle of the Pacific Ocean, or over the North Pole, thousands of kilometers from any piece of land? How on earth does your data get back home?
And this is where the absolute genius of the system really kicks in. The satellites don't just talk down to us on the ground. The amazing part is they talk to each other, forming this gigantic interconnected mesh network in space.
How do they do it? They use something called optical intersatellite links, or ISLs. But really, you can just think of them as what they are: high-speed space lasers. Each satellite is equipped with these, and they can shoot data to their neighbors at a mind-boggling 200 gigabits per second.
Okay, so let's follow a single packet of your data on its journey. Your signal goes up from your terminal on the ground to the nearest satellite passing overhead. But from there, it doesn't come straight back down. Oh no. Instead, it starts hopping across this laser network, passed from one satellite to the next like some kind of celestial bucket brigade, until it finally reaches a satellite that is flying over a ground station, and only then does it beam down to plug into the global internet.
And this whole process perfectly illustrates how Starlink themselves describe the system. It's not just a bunch of satellites, it is a true global internet mesh. It's a network that can intelligently route traffic through space to connect literally any 2 points on the planet.
Now, a simple chain of data is one thing, but managing thousands of these things, all moving at 28,000 kilometers per hour, that's a whole different level of complexity. This mesh isn't just a simple chain. It's an incredibly complex, intelligent swarm that has to basically manage itself.
You know, the thinking behind this actually goes way back to aerospace research from the early 2000s. Researchers came up with this idea of treating a cluster of cooperating satellites not as individuals, but as one single intelligent thing, a virtual satellite. And that is precisely the philosophy Starlink has put into practice, on a scale nobody had ever imagined.
So this cluster manager system is what gives the whole swarm its autonomy. Think about it. The entire fleet can fly in precise formation, automatically dodge space debris, monitor its own health, handle faults when they pop up, and even optimize fuel use across thousands of units, all without somebody on the ground micromanaging everything. It's basically a single, self-managing organism orbiting the planet.
So what does this all really mean for the future? Well, once you've built this incredibly powerful and smart data mesh in orbit, it unlocks a whole new set of possibilities that go way beyond just getting internet to people on the ground.
For instance, researchers are now using the super dense field of Starlink signals to complement systems like GPS, and they're improving positioning accuracy by over 45%. That's huge. And then there's something even more wild, this idea of MCS, which stands for Mega Constellation Services in Space. This basically means providing high-speed internet directly to other spacecraft, to rovers, to future space stations, creating an internet backbone for our actual expansion into the solar system.
For another satellite, say one that's observing the Earth, this is a total game changer. I mean, instead of waiting minutes, maybe even hours, to pass over a ground station to send its data home, it can just connect to the Starlink mesh instantly. The time it takes to get that vital data back to Earth drops from hours to around 50 milliseconds. It's incredible.
And this all leaves us with one last really fascinating thought. For the very first time in history, we have a persistent, high-speed data layer that blankets not just the Earth's surface, but the orbit around it too. Starlink hasn't just built a new way for us to get online, you could argue it's created the fundamental data infrastructure for our future in space. So what does that really mean for exploration and connectivity? That's the big question this technology now forces all of us to ask.